So you need a container to ferment, and I like to use mason jars. They sell online. You can buy a bunch of really fancy crocks and things with interesting tops, and there's all kinds of fermenting crocks out there. They're all wonderful, but I like to use what I have, and so I have lots of mason jars, and that's what I use.
Yeah.
So you have a mason jar. You need the food that you're going to ferment, which in this case is carrots. These could be sliced in sticks. I've even done just baby carrots in the bag and just dumped them in. So
that's really easy. You just put them in.
It's very easy. You just put them in. I am going to add some herbs just to flavor it a bit. So this is carrots, but this could be green beans, jalapenos, Brussels sprouts, shredded cabbage. This could be any vegetable.
Oh wow, anything.
So
okay.
This is just the example. So here I have dill, garlic, and peppercorns. That's kind of my go-to. I am, for this one, because these are going to be my carrots, I'm going to add some hot chili powder.
You like the spice?
I do. I love spice. This would be totally optional, though. So these are actually cayenne peppers that I dehydrated from my garden, and then I pureed into a powder.
Nice.
It's extremely spicy. So I have my food that I'm going to ferment, and I'm going to add some more carrots. You want to get it like just below the ridges, so it's not too full.
Okay.
Okay. So now you have the food. You're going to add salt. Salt helps a couple of things. Salt keeps the vegetables crunchy. Salt adds flavor, clearly. Also, salt is a natural antimicrobial.
Okay.
So while we want the bacteria to grow, we don't want the pathogenic bacteria to grow. So salt can actually help the pathogenic bacteria keep at a low level.
But
so
can still allow the probiotic
to grow. And if you start to read more about fermented foods, there's all kinds of. Some purists like to use a lot of salt. Some people like to use no salt. I don't really get into all that like splitting hairs in the world of fermenting. I just do what works for me and what tastes good to me.
Sure.
So I do like the Three Little Bears. I do the medium amount of salt.
Yeah, I'll do in the middle.
Right for me. So I usually do about a teaspoon of salt, and this is just sea salt, like a Celtic sea salt. But that works for me. But again, this is just like a fluid technique. If you like it more salty, go more salty. If you don't like salty, go less salty. So now we have all this in the jar. And then there is naturally occurring on the carrots and in the jar bacteria. Particularly lactobacillus bacteria, which is what does this whole process.
Okay.
I could fill this with water right now, and ideally the bacteria that exists in here already is going to eat the sugars and starches in the carrots.
Okay.
And produce the good bacteria, produce the lactic acid, which is what preserves it, makes it acidic. The bacteria also produce more vitamins. They produce B vitamins and K2.
Oh,
so
wow.
The vitamins of the carrot will actually be enhanced than the raw carrot would be. So I could just rely on the natural bacteria. I, however, don't like things to fail if I'm going to go to all of this effort to make all these vegetables. I don't want to have a moldy batch. Like, what if the bacteria is not that prolific here?
Okay.
So I usually use what's called a starter culture, and this is just a powdered bacteria. This is from Body Ecology, but that's the one I like. You could even, if you have a probiotic capsule that has lactobacillus bacteria in it, if you look on the side of the bottle, you could open up a couple capsules.
Okay.
You could also use the liquid in yogurt. Well, this yogurt isn't super liquidy, but like that liquid that forms, that's whey. That has good bacteria in it, so you could just strain that off and put that in there.
Okay. So these are just almost like enhancing options, not necessary, but you can do it. Okay.
Yes, I like to, just because it's, I don't know, it's just, it adds, you're inoculating with more bacteria. So you're
making it even more successful.
So I usually add about half a teaspoon of, and again, it doesn't, you're not baking a cake, it's not baking soda, it's just, I don't even measure when I'm doing this. Like,
you just pour some in.
You're just pouring some in to get some bacteria in there.
Okay.
So you have the container, the food, salt, the bacteria of choice, if you're going to use that. And then you just fill it with water.
Now, does it matter what type of water?
I just use filtered water.
Okay.
Technically, you don't want to use unfiltered tap water because of the chlorine content, and the chlorine kills bacteria. That's why it's there.
Okay.
That being said, I have done it with tap water, and it has worked out fine. But in general, I try to avoid tap water. But you don't have to use distilled or anything fancy. Just whatever. If you have a filter in your refrigerator or a Brita filter or something, that's fine.
That works.
So you want to cover it. You want to make sure everything's covered. Leave a little room. And I'm just going to just make sure there we go. And then you would cap it. I'm going to steal this cap, so I didn't put a cap out. So what you would do is you then just put the lid on and you just leave it at room temperature for vegetables 5 to 7 days. You could go 10 days, 12 days, kind of whatever you like. And then the way to see if it's done, it will start. These are the same things essentially, and you'll see that this finished carrot is more cloudy.
Yep.
There'll be, if you look on the bottom, there's white stuff. There are like little bubbles. It's hard to see by the camera, but there's little bubbles.
Coming up. Yep.
That kind of tells you it's there. It's getting there. And then what you do is you put a clean spoon or fork, or what have you, and then you just taste it. Do you want to taste it?
Sure. Hello. Oh, thank you.
They should be done.
They're good.
They're good.